Hello and welcome to my tropical style garden here in the UK. I haven't done a video for a while where I actually talked about the garden. Done a couple of just little tours around it. I am going to do a proper tour of the garden soon. I just have a few little projects to do and then hopefully I can do a full tour of the whole thing. But for today I'm going to go down the bottom end of the garden where I tend to use foliage plants and pretty much just green really, and the reason for that is to try and sort of create more of a relaxing area where to sit, where it's sort of quite calming. So I'll take a little walk down there and see what changes were made from last year. Duck down under the Trachycarpus princeps hybrid and work my way around. So this section here is mainly shaded. There's a large tetrapanax above it and some Trachycarpus. So most of this is shade loving plants. And down this bottom area where I tend to sit under the gazebo, I only use greens. I just feel like with the water feature and the large green leaves and the contrast, the foliage, it just creates a sort of nice relaxing area and a good contrast to the rest of the garden, which has a lot more colour. So down the end of the garden, I don't tend to see this during winter because the rest of it, if anyone's seen my previous videos, I do like to use lots of evergreens to try and keep your interest. But down here I don't see this, so I changed my mind from my original plans, which was when I put this water feature in. I was just going to use sort of different ferns around the base, but I felt like once the water feature went in, that wasn't enough contrast, so I wanted some sort of bigger, more sculptural plants. So I use these monsteras, which are just in pots tucked in the back, just to sort of stage it. And then obviously I have, here comes the wind, then I have the sort of more established plants, the tree ferns, the variegated fatsias, and then ferns and grasses around it, which stay in all year round and are hardy. But I think to get that extra little bit of tropical look and wow factor, I think the monsteras, the sort of clivias and the more tender plants have gone in to help. Now if you're going to just use greens, you need to add interest in other ways. So maybe that's water features, maybe that's sculptures, maybe that's pots, maybe that's landscaping materials. But also with the greens you want contrast, so the big leaves against the small leaves, the change in shape, the palmate leaves, the grass type leaves, lots and lots of contrast to try and, I don't know, really sort of interest your brain rather than just a massive green. But also repeat the planting. If you're just going to put loads and loads of green in and every plant looks different, it confuses your brain. For me anyway, that's my opinion on it. So, you know, here I have a green fatsia, I have a variegated fatsia that are very similar. There's quite a few different ferns but very similar leaf shape. There's a few different grasses between the Carex there and the green Ophiopogon there. So I've tried to bring balance to it by repeat planting as well as the contrast, just to sort of, I don't know, soften it but keep the interest there as well. This is a Trachycarpus trunk. I need my brain sorting out. A tetrapanax trunk. Okay, so originally that went in many years ago. It was quite a sunny spot. It's reached out to the front, climbed all the way up there, and give me almost a palm looking trunk. Hence why I was silly enough to name it wrong. Now here I have Fatsia polycarpa that started off down there, grown from seed, and it's grown out really leggy, trying to get to the light, even though they're quite shade loving. And I keep thinking I'm going to prune it back and pruning it back, but now it's sort of almost become kind of architectural, and it's giving me the contrast above my head between these leaf shapes to add to the contrast that I'm getting down here. So down here in these pots, and the reason they're in pots and not planted is because the fern there and the Farfugium here both love to be absolutely eaten by slugs and snails. So at night I just tend to pick them up in the pots and put them up higher out the way where they're less likely to get eaten, and then during the day bring them back down. I would like to put them in the borders, but it's hard enough keeping this garden looking kind of neat and tidy without everything being eaten to pieces. So let's just sort of go through quickly a few of the plants that's in here. So Swiss cheese plant, Monstera, 2 of them potted. They're kept inside that cabin with a grow light. It's heated, frost free. They're kept in there over winter. That's a Clivia, that's kept in the greenhouse frost free over winter. Then so is the potted plants. Then we have Fatsia variegata, been planted. That was actually a cutting from my other Fatsia variegata probably about 8-9 years ago, and it's a lot taller than what you can see. It's growing up behind the tree fern. Then we have for Fatsia, this one was grown by seed many years ago as well. Plant is a tiny little plant down there, but it's found its way bigger. Then you've got the Akuba there. There's a couple of potted Fatsias and Akubas at the back there, because I've just got to do a bit more work down the back there, and plus I'm trying not to over dig the borders too much, because I may cause the tetrapanics to start sort of shooting everywhere, and it's really established root wise. What else have we got in here? Ferns. There's just a Schefflera Taiwaniana, that's in a pot at the moment, that's not staying there, but I just like the little bit of extra contrast. This is a Carex, this is new to me this year. It's Carex Everlime, so it's sort of got like a dark green stripe with sort of lime green on the outside. Hardy, there's 3 of them in there to hopefully give me a bit of a clump sort of effect and keep some interesting over winter. At the moment there's just a colocasia in a pot there, because this area here is just obviously a massive Trachycarpus roots, so I've got to sort of dig around there carefully and find a couple of plants that are going to sort of take that. At the minute on the corner there's a Fascicularia bicola, which will sort of get bigger and fill that gap, and that gets a lot more sun out there as I work my way out. So I thought I'd just come down here before the storm comes, have a little chat about what's going on, because I think generally people that do this type of gardening like to hear and see other people's experiences and what they're doing, and maybe take something from it. I am going to, like I say, do a few more videos of different areas of the garden, hopefully do a whole tour video. But at the moment, this is one of my favourite places to come and sit and just relax. And the green foliage just seems to, and the water, just help me do that. Not a great example at the moment when the wind's really starting to pick up. I've had to move a couple of plants in. I've moved my Brassiopsis, which was potted, into the greenhouse so that doesn't get too smashed around in the strong winds that are coming. And I'm going to probably move a few more of these in potted ones into a sheltered area very soon. But that's enough of that chit chat for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.